How's it going, everybody? My name is Dushawn Williams. This is Gaming Over 30, and hoping everybody's having a good time. This is our second episode with the crew. Chris is a little bit out today. He's got to go fight some demons and stuff, while the rest of us will just going to chill out and talk about some other type of demons, RPG demons. Actually, thinking about that, Cameron, I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
It's been a few weeks. How you like Baldur Gates 3? Is it living up to the hype?
I finished the game.
You finished the game?
Yep, I finished it. And I finished one of 1,700 different endings that it can have. So on round 2. Currently.
I was thinking we need to do probably like a Gaming Over 30 kind of like run, like a single run with all 4 of us for Baldur Gates 3. Does we do like a story thing? I'm thinking like I'll be willing to buy it if it's for the homies. I think that's kind of what it comes down to.
I would also be willing to stream it. So
yeah, like I just to kind of just see the shenanigans. Lately I kind of been looking at those kind of streams like with like the quarry and all that, and I was interested. It's like, man, that actually seemed like pretty dope to just have when you have a group of people trying to do everything, see if you can get everybody to go to the end, survive, whatever kind of stuff you could do.
It's pretty great. I've seen a couple of videos of just buddies playing together, and one of them was the guy had like a really great sword. It's really good, and he woke up a mimic chest, so it woke up and took his sword from him, and he got mad at it, so he shoved it, and it shoved it into a chasm, and everybody's like, "Dude, it had your sword." So his sword's just gone. He's like, no. So there's some pretty great shenanigans to be had in that game for sure.
That's too funny. No, and I think that'd be cool once you have like a group of people that can all experience it. I think that'd be kind of dope. So I think now that we got a crew going on, that we need to do stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But the reason why I'm asking is because I've been kind of thinking about RPGs a little bit as of late. I've seen some videos from some other people. And I'm kind of wondering, has turn-based in it itself kind of died out for RPGs? With the recent release for like Final Fantasy 16 and stuff, of them finally kind of pushing more again to like a more action focus. Final Fantasy 7 was kind of, the remake was kind of like that, but I think that the 16 was like really, really like almost Devil May Cry action focus. And just kind of wondering, it's like, well, are we starting to leave turn-based in the past? But from what I understand for Baldur Gates 3, it is still turn-based all the way.
It is turn-based all the way, but I do kind of feel the same way. Like, I think turn-based is just kind of going out completely. Now, Baldur's Gate 3 may bring it back a little bit, where there might be a couple games that start coming out that might re-implement it, that used to have it, or I don't know. It just kind of depends. To be honest, something that I think would be pretty cool is a new Fallout game that's turn-based again.
A new turn-based Fallout game?
Yeah. Like, it would be pretty sweet if they could do that. Like, it'd be pretty nice that I mean, they've done it before. They know all of the ways that they can do it, but make it to where it's got all of the new engines up, so the visuals are absolutely awesome, and it would be, I just think that would be pretty sweet. Now, I'm that person that jumped into Fallout during 3, so I never got to play any of the like dungeon crawl style Fallouts at all, but I'm enjoying Baldur's Gate 3 enough now that honestly, I'd be fine with having another kind of role play game that has it. But I mean, that's kind of one of my genres that I play quite a bit is role play games, but not turn based. So I've not got a lot of knowledge to go on with it other than Baldur's Gate, to be honest. Like, this is the first turn based game I've ever played, and it is keeping me well entertained. I checked it earlier, and actually we could check it really quickly. Yep, we're looking at 80 hours so far into that game. So
could have played 3 whole games, homie.
Dude, my life is being overrun by this game right now.
And that's the kind of reason why I asked is because it's like there are some games if they make the turn base interesting, if there's kind of like a particular strategy to it that just kind of makes it, whether it's visually engaging or just back and forth kind of work engaging, I think it could still live in kind of like today's world and stuff. I mean, I play a gotcha game that is all turn based, but it's PvP turn based, and that's something that you normally wouldn't do, and I think it actually works out really nicely, bringing like a lot of the old style RPG kind of elements from JRPGs and stuff like that, and making it to where it's like you're kind of back and forth with each other. But I do realize there are just some games that they do need to kind of transition. I think I've always been a fan of Final Fantasy in the way that they can sell you both story and work a turn-based combat. But I got to admit, I did really like this latest installment, and it was also one of those where it's like, oh, I actually played it like from start to finish. I didn't have like that RPG hiatus where you're very close to the end, and for some reason, like you pause or stop or something. Like it was one of those things where it's like, hey, I actually kind of blazed through this and kind of did all the extra story missions and stuff like that, and I didn't feel like I really got fatigued.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I was just kind of wondering. It's like, I wonder if stuff is like this is going to get better, or it might be some other things. Kind of looking at it, but I'm very interested because it's one of those things where it's like how media is today with like TikTok, shorts, and all that. Like you need stuff to be popping off every 15 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a game that's like, hey, this match can last 5 minutes, last 10 minutes, like I can't do tactical stuff anymore. Like I did it for some games, but it's because it was that very particular game. But it's not a genre that I like playing in too much, where it's like, this can't last for 2 hours. This is too much to do.
Yeah. I mean, I was just looking it up just to kind of see how many hours it is, but one of the things that I think that is keeping this game alive so much is the cinematics. And right now, I just looked it up. It's 176 hours worth of cinematics that are put in this game. And doing something like that can definitely keep the viewer entertained for a long period of time. Especially kind of how you just said, like you got to have something like every 15 seconds to kind of keep somebody entertained and in this game. So I mean, I think that the cinematics are a big part of it, but as well, something that they added is secrets. Is just there are so many secrets into this game that you have no idea. You could have gone in the same room probably 10 times and not realize that there was a lever behind a box that opens up one of the walls that it just looks like a wall. You would never know until you do it. And it just so happens there it is. And I mean, I found one earlier today and it kept me entertained for probably a good hour. Like, I mean, it turned out that it was a whole basic dungeon that was just in a house. Nothing. Like there was no indication that it was there or anything. Just found the lever and there it is.
So was it, how would I say? It felt kind of like it's like a tunic level of secrets. Like there's just a
Yeah,
lot of stuff that are this hidden in plain sight, and you have to just dare to go there,
yeah,
kind of thing.
exactly. And I mean, stuff like that. What everybody's been doing is Easter eggs in games to kind of just give people little tidbits of, hey, look, here's this little thing that we thought was cool. I know one of the games that I used to play that had an insane amount was Skyrim. Um, and I mean, pretty much everybody knows like whenever you get to the throat of the world mountain, that's like the tallest mountain in the world. If you get to the top, there's a thing called a notched pickaxe to reference Minecraft. Like
Mm-hmm.
I miss stuff like that in video games because I feel like it is kind of dying out where there's not a lot of Easter eggs in a lot of this stuff anymore. So the secrets in Baldur's Gate is very much keeping me entertained, and I think that they really should bring a lot of that stuff back where they don't tell you about it, just something you got to find.
And I always wonder, like, why that might be the case. Is it because like they don't think people play games like that enough? I know people will take like an older title that has Easter eggs and still go hunt them down, and
Hmm.
sometimes you'll see like, oh yeah, it's been 10 years later, and they finally found the secret at this one place or whatever, and it's like, oh okay, that's pretty dope. But it's always seemed like it's older games that seem like they get to kind of enjoy that. But for like newer games, it's more like I would say like hidden memes in a way. Like it's kind of there, like if you're just playing the game, but you have to like catch it, like
Hmm.
or like certain references and stuff.
Hmm. Um, I mean, the I feel like so last year's Game of the Year awards was why am I completely forgetting last year's Game of the Award winner? What was the winner? Elden Ring.
It was Elden Ring
I was like, why did I just forget like one of the best games ever? Uh,
because you wish it was
but
God of War.
you're not wrong. Dude, God of War should have won that. Sorry, whoever disagrees. But I mean, that was such a great game too, where it had secrets. Like, I mean, there were some that I heard that you could literally just you would walk out into nothing, and there was an invisible wall that you would just walk on and into a certain area, and you couldn't see where you were going. You just had to follow it and trust that you didn't fall off the map or fall off whatever it is you were walking on.
Uh-huh.
So I do think that a lot of these secrets are secret things that game developers putting in these games is pretty awesome, and I think that they need to continue that kind of stuff, keep people entertained.
I do think it's kind of cool. Like I do wish they were just kind of more into stuff
Hmm.
where you could like just venture out more for dumb reasons, and then sometimes it's one of those like, oh, you need to do it just because you might like it around the time, or it might be something where it's like, oh well, it's like there was no reason that you had to do this, but thank you for doing it anyway. I think some games are kind of losing that, and I think it's harder if you don't play a lot of games, especially the older that you get, because you might be missing it in like another type of genre or different type of game. But since it's such a niche thing, you're more likely to still miss it if it's not like a very famous game or something
Hmm.
where it's like, oh, okay, like we expect them to kind of do something crazy. We just need to go find it. Um, I haven't really talked about kind of secrets and stuff in games for a while. It is something different where it's like, okay, what are things that could be just be hidden and just enjoyed and stuff.
Hmm.
But I think the whole completionist thing, I think is also what kind of dies out a little bit. And I think half of it is because there's some games that are just too long for it. Yeah.
Well, except for me. I haven't died out, man. I will forever be a complete. Like my buddy, I actually wasn't a completionist for a while, and my buddy that I roomed with about 2 years ago kind of got me into it because I had never owned a PlayStation, and Xbox does have the achievements and everything, but I don't feel like they're
Mhm.
sought after as much. Whereas like PlayStation, they have like it gives you trophies and like it displays them and things like that, so like everybody can see. So it gives you a little bit more sense of accomplishment whenever you do it. But
Yeah.
uh, the first game that he had me do was God of War. Because I never played any of the God of War series. The 2018, 2019. I don't remember whenever that came out. I think it was 2018.
Yeah, the
Um,
first one.
yeah, so played that one all the way through. Then I did Spider-Man after that, and it got me like really into getting that like completionist value of a lot of these games, and it really makes you actually go through and find everything that's in the game, even the Easter eggs and all the things, because you're looking in every little corner for if there's something there that you can pick up or that you can get. So I feel like that's kind of a way that some of these developers are getting a lot of people to do the completionist stuff and find all the secrets in their games. So thought that was pretty sweet.
Gotcha. And I remember Xbox back in the day. It was more like a point system. It was like how many points
Yeah.
could you get? Because like their gamer score points, I think. I remember I had a friend of mine who was playing through an RPG, not because he really like liked the game, because he got mad because I wasn't skipping the cutscenes. I was just kind of watching the cutscenes as they were playing. He was like, "No, skip the cutscenes, just keep going," kind of thing. But it was like, oh, because this game was on the list for one of the easiest to farm gamer score. And it was just like, oh yeah, it's easy to get all the achievements. You just do all this stuff, and then boom, you get like a crazy amount of score to add to your digital clout, as now we say it. You
Mhm.
know, it's just like I guess I never understood it, but it's all like, okay, but why though? Like that you can't use it for anything. It literally is not like points you could trade in for anything. At least in my mind, I was like, I didn't really see a point, but I do see like on PlayStation where you have like big old trophies and how it kind of
Mhm.
will let you notify stuff. I know Xbox has some more like it shows you what are like the really hidden ones, you know,
Yeah.
where it's all like, oh, you definitely found like a rare one, and you have like a big old sound that kind of plays out. So it does have that to like, oh yeah, you did something great. But
Yeah.
outside of that, it's like I can see like what like having your name and then having like all the stuff around it.
Yeah. I don't know if Xbox does this, but PlayStation with their achievements, some of them are hidden until like you go in and click on it that way, and it will tell you kind of what that achievement is. I do
Hmm.
like that PlayStation does that because then you kind of get a little bit of a sense of I could look at this and find out what it is I'm supposed to do, or I could just go through and see if I can figure it out for myself kind of deal. And
Yeah.
that's also a pretty cool little neat thing that they put in there, I think.
Yeah. I know Epic tries to kind of have a lot of that happen with like when you put games in their store. Like they really do want you to kind of make sure that you have those kind of like achievements and how to write them out and stuff like that. So when you like put a game on their service and then you port it to like Xbox or PlayStation, like those you would kind of pop up and stuff. That was like one of the GDC talks I went to this year.
Mhm.
But I guess I think it's nice, but I feel like that's still like the platform kind of congratulating you than
Mhm.
it is like the game sometimes. Like the game provided it, you know, the challenge or whatever, but it's still like you don't really hear a lot of people talk about kind of that stuff. They just kind of whether like they just see like whether or not you it completed or not. I think that's
Mhm.
kind of like how I feel like stuff changes. Not what you did, it's just like what was the end result of everything.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm kind of hoping that changes a little bit. Like some, you know, like some of the older challenges and stuff where it's like, oh yeah, like you had to beat this at under this time limit or something, and then really be known for something that's actually difficult. Like, oh yeah, oh, this is crazily stupid, and just have put somebody put a bounty for it.
Right.
Like, I need this beat.
And I'm really wondering when some of these new RPGs are going to be coming out. Like I know that they talked about Redfall for the Elder Scrolls series what like 3-4 years ago at this point, and we still
Mm-hmm.
haven't heard a thing on it. Like that's one that I've been kind of like waiting on because I'm a huge Skyrim fan and Morrowind and Oblivion, and I'm just kind of like waiting on that train to see whenever stuff's gonna start coming out because I feel like RPGs have taken a little bit of a back seat recently.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't even remember the last RPG that was really that that much in depth on some stuff. Like I remember I played Baldur's Gate 3. That's like the biggest one recently. Yeah, I don't even know at this point. Like
You're just
I
like,
don't know
man,
any of them that are like I'm like trying to think of any of the RPGs that are relatively recent. Um I guess Final Fantasy is not too old. That came out not that long ago. I don't think.
yeah, that was June, like almost at the court, like a week before the end of June, I think, something
Yeah.
like that. But like what like are you just talking about like generally are they been better or are you talking about generally like an RPG that has a lot of depth to it?
Um I need something with like at least a lot of depth to it so that way I need something that's not gonna it's gonna enthrall me. I need something to take my mind off of whatever's going on in the world. Like I don't want to just be distracted for 5 seconds and then go back to it. Like I want something that I can
Gotcha.
go through, make a character that I'm gonna be able to completely make up a story for it, which I think is why I'm really enjoying Baldur's Gate, because I can make up the story about what my character is going through and everything before I even make the character. And then once I jot down all that stuff, I can go in and go, all right, so I picked fighter, so we'll make it fighter. We'll go and do this. Uh, Backstory is that their family died in a house fire and you somehow made it out, so you could put a burn scar on the face and everything. Like I enjoy all that kind of stuff quite a bit. Uh,
So you're really into like the more like Western style RPGs where like your main
yeah.
character could be whatever it wants, and then you can grow it. You normally grow it through the storyline. It's not necessarily something like it's defined, like he has a defined name, defined purpose, and stuff like that. You actually like to
Mm-hmm.
control a lot of that.
Yeah.
That I guess that's a little bit hard, I guess, for me because like Final Fantasy in that case wouldn't really be in that situation because you got Clive, you know who Clive is. Pretty much the story is about his both his background as well as what he turns into and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And so it's like a lot of that's defined. Like a lot of like the JRPG stuff is really defined and like his character stuff. I for me, I'm more on that side
Yeah.
because I do like characters to have a purpose. I do want to know like why am I here in a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
games that I play because it's like you it's hard to have a fan base on a character when like the character is just like kind of either your fantasy or just you in the game
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. It's like I I do like it when like you can refer to a character like, oh, my favorite character is into this because there's some kind of background to it. So, but I think what you're saying is like it's really I haven't really seen too many, like you said. I was gonna say like, well, maybe Harry Potter, the one that came out, Hogwarts Legacy,
Oh
was probably
man.
closer to yours
Yeah.
because you can go as far as change the main character's voice by changing his pitch and
Mm-hmm.
doing all that other stuff. Like you
Picking the
can
house
like
that
do like
he's
a
in.
full
Yeah.
change, like a face. Yeah. Even like the house, even like there's a way to kind of choose what house you get and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like one of those things that you could kind of play around. I think that's closer, right? There's like, oh,
Yeah.
you're just one person, but it's like you're not necessarily defined. Like your name, hell, you even your background and stuff is not really even like gone over. It's just, hey, you got a letter for Hogwarts, get your ass over here. It's like
Right.
it's like you're jumping in late, but whatever. Like all the teachers are paid to help you.
I did, dude. Oh my gosh, I did really enjoy the way that Hogwarts Legacy did like their game because you could choose to go on their like I think their WB something website and you
Mhm.
can go through take all of the tests, figure out what wand you have, what make it is, what your Patronus is, all of that stuff. And I mean, I remember that there were guides before the game came out of like how to get the Elder Wand. What are the answers to do
Yeah.
it? Like all like
Yeah,
dude,
because you
everybody was
couldn't
so
only get
hyped
the
for that.
Elder Wand that way. Yeah, because you can't get the Elder Wand through the normal game.
Yeah.
So it's all like everybody, and I'll be honest, I used like some of those to get it because I was just like, hell yeah, I'm gonna want the Elder Wand. Why would I not want the Elder Wand? I'm a boss ass bitch. I want that stuff. um, I that was funny because I did kind of jump into that. It
Mhm.
made me get that game early. I think that was the only game that I know I bought because it was like, oh yeah, if you get it, you play like 2-3 days before everybody else. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, I'll do it because I think it was fun, and the game was fun.
It
But I
was.
did like that aspect of like, and maybe because like I'm more familiar with Harry Potter than most things, when
Mhm.
it's all like, oh yeah, I can see myself with the dragon as my Patronus. Dragons are cool. I like
Yeah.
that. That's the only way I'll pick at it. I guess in those cases, I do like it, but I think that's also one of those things like, okay, you know about the world, they don't have to explain to you the world of Harry Potter. They don't have to explain to you like
Mhm.
Hogwarts and all that. So
Nah.
like you're kind of a little bit more into it. And I'm thinking that's probably for people who are into Dungeons and Dragons a lot, where it's like
Mhm.
Dungeons and Dragons is kind of this. I don't think we need to explain to you more Dungeons and Dragons, but if you want to, here's some other tidbits you can kind of jump into.
Yeah. And just a little jump back on the whole trophies thing. I don't know if you know this, but in order to 100% Harry Potter, you have to do a playthrough of every house.
Yep.
So that's one that I haven't done because it's almost
You
too
know,
much.
let me transition to that. Something that like about most games and stuff that I personally don't do a lot because I just think like I just don't have enough time, and that's New Game Plus. Going
Oh,
back
really?
and replaying an entire game, like even though you've seen everything, it's like going back and replaying the entire game either for like achievement and stuff is just something that like it's hard for me because a lot of times when I play a game and I finish it, I'm kind of done with it. Even some DLC is really hard for me to go back to if the DLC is like next year. You know, it's like
Mm.
you kind of already know you've been playing the game, you do all that, then you take like a big hiatus, and then like DLC comes and like, oh, I got to remember how to play the game again. I got to remember to get good again. It's really kind of hard in that kind of case of stuff. But New Game Plus to me is just like, are you willing to play the game all over again, but harder, and hopefully some more cutscenes? And it's like, not really. Like, if it took me 20 hours to beat the first run, I don't want to spend another 20 hours, even if it is like cut in half, like cut all the cutscenes and stuff. Like, it's really hard to kind of bait me to do a new game plus. I'd rather have somebody beat it first and then, like, yo, give me your save file so I can do a new game plus. So I can
Yeah.
just do everything from the get go.
I did it for God of War whenever I did that one, and I did and
First one or
I don't
second one?
the first one, and I
Okay.
did it just for bragging rights. So I did New Game Plus on Give Me God of War and 100% the game. So it's like the hardest difficulty. Do it after the game. Do the New Game Plus version of it because on New Game Plus, everybody like gets leveled up with you. So
Mm-hmm.
all of the enemies are harder. All of the stuff is just way harder to do. Um, I did it. I did it in Spider-Man Miles Morales, but I didn't do it in the normal Spider-Man. I enjoyed the first Spider-Man game a lot, but that was another one that I'm kind of in agreement with you. Like it's kind of hard to kind of go back and play that again. I'd be able to go do it again, but I don't know if I'd want to like new game plus it and do all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll probably end up playing it again to refresh my memory whenever Spider-Man 2 comes out here
Yeah.
not too long. I think that's October if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, October, September.
I think it's
I think it's
October or something like
October.
that.
I think anything
I wish
September is going to
September.
be a big thing.
No,
Oh, no.
dude,
September
I'm
would
so
be
hyped for it.
hard, man.
I'm just so hyped for it. I'm ready.
Mhm.
Um, but Miles Morales, I did just because the the enjoyment of that game was just so lighthearted because Miles Morales is so young and just becoming a Spider-Man.
Mhm.
That was such a good story. I loved that game. But yeah, the new game plus stuff is an option for me, but I wouldn't say that I necessarily go to it. Like I'm not gonna immediately go towards. Oh, let me do this again.
I think for especially for like games like Spider-Man or Marvel Spider-Man,
Hmm.
where it's like if you new game plus it, it's mainly because hopefully like you completed like all of New York. Like you
Hmm.
did all of the missions, you did all the stuff. So there's no need to really do it again unless like they force you to do it again for some reason. I think that's kind of like where I kind of feel the fatigue for it because it's like you do want to get that all completed and stuff. And it's like, well, I got all the costumes and stuff or half of it.
Hmm.
If I have to do it all again because I that's how I get more stuff, then it doesn't feel worth it at that point.
Hmm.
But I think in the good games like that, I could kind of see it, but even I know like heart of hearts, I just want to do it. It's like,
Yeah.
nope, I beat the game, saw the ending. There's not really a different ending, and if there was a different ending, I'll just YouTube it at that point, like just for the satisfaction.
Yeah, because I had the option to new game plus it and everything, and I did do all of the stuff. And then at the end of it, I realized that one of the achievements is beat it on new game plus, and I was just like, I did everything, and now you want me
Mhm.
to do it again? And I was just like, whatever. So I never went back and did that one.
Are you excited for Starfield? No, that's coming out in like 2-3 weeks.
I have no idea. Just to give the honest answer, I don't know. I think that Starfield is going to be a very interesting and cool game. My and I am a huge space person. I love all kinds of space stuff. I mean, just following what's going on, current events, all that kind of stuff. But the um the one that kind of gets me to where I'm not too thrilled to play it again is I played Outer Worlds, and people are going to hate me
Hmm.
for this. I really did not enjoy that game. I thought that it was so mind-numbing and boring. I didn't think that the story enthralled me enough to keep me going with it and everything. I
Yeah.
mean, I played that game for probably about like 2 hours and then was just like it just it killed me. So,
Did you ever
I'm
play
a
No
little
Man's Sky?
skeptical. That crap. Now you got me thinking it was No Man's Sky. I
Yeah,
played one of
cause
them and enjoyed it, and I played the other and didn't like it.
yeah, it's kind of hard because if you played No Man's Sky when it first came out, then I understand what you're saying because
That might be what it
it was
is.
pretty. It was like, but it was missing a lot of stuff. They had a lot of issues and stuff, and the
Yeah.
game had to go through some really big changes to kind of get back to where it is now. And I heard right now it's a lot more fun because I did hear like it was kind of empty or I feel like a lot of the worlds were the
It was
same.
No Man's Sky.
Okay.
Yep. I had to like look that one up real quick just to see. But yeah, just I think Starfield will do very good. I think that there's going to be a huge player base that's going to like super be into it and they're not going to want to play anything else. When is Starfield dropping?
Uh, I there's so many dates. I know it says the 17th, right? So if
September
you had it
6th.
September
Wait, that
6th,
says initial.
yeah, because there's the pre-opening and then there's the actual release.
Okay.
Um, I know right now. I think today's the day. It's the 17th where you can, if you pre-ordered it, that
Hmm.
you can start installing the data. So I
Gotcha.
know it's gonna be a good game.
There's a lot of games. There's something that I'm curious about how developers decide to do what they do as far as release dates because now that Baldur's Gate 3 is out and it's very much a top contender for Game of the Year award. I'm
Hmm.
almost positive it's probably going to win. Cuz I don't know of any other game. Well, no, cuz Spider-Man's coming out.
This year
It's
is gonna be hard
it is
because
going to be hard cuz a lot of it's
Hogwarts
coming out at the
Legacy
end.
was like because Hogwarts Legacy wasn't that bad as far as like an overall game. Tears of
Mhm.
the Kingdom came out this year.
Mhm.
Final Fantasy 16 had a wildly crazy like response to it. Then you have Street Fighter, which I don't think Street Fighter would definitely,
Mm,
but Street Fighter and some of the other fighting games are coming out this year. Tekken, I think, no, I don't think Tekken comes out this year. Yeah, no, I think Tekken's probably later. But that's like all the stuff that's just now happening. You got Armored Core coming up. Then you got Marvel Spider Man. I doubt Assassin's Creed would be in that top list, but I know some people are kind of excited to go back to assassinating people in that game rather than just
yeah,
like
but I feel like that Assassin's Creed drain is kind of dying. I'm not going to lie. Like I felt like ever since probably say around Black Flag era, it just kind of started to dip.
and that is for like a lot of people. Like I enjoy it just because there's a lot about it. I enjoy it, but I'm
Hmm.
also his biggest critic. There are just some things about the later games that are very great, and then some things where it's all like, yes, but it's hard to say it's an Assassin's Creed game if I were to have shown you like this without like the
Yeah.
title. And I think that's why I'm a little bit more excited about Assassin's Creed Mirage because it looks like, hey, you're going back to a lot of the order stuff. You're gonna play as an assassin, not just somebody's just kind of part of stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a lot of that's kind of go back to it. But even me, I know as much as I kind of like the series, that it just won't be a game of the year. Like, there's just not a lot that the title can do right now based on everything before that'll make it game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like Marvel Spider-Man 2 is, I feel like it's going to be really hard to beat now that they decided to go with the whole Venom thing this time around.
Exactly.
But if like
um,
Starfield pays off, it's like that. I feel like that's gonna be hard too, because it's like if you've liked Fallout, if you've liked Skyrim and stuff, you're basically playing a game made by that group of people, except now we're doing it with like the idea space where recreate you get to create your ship however you want it, to the point where like you can put any kind of things together. Like your character could be a lot of stuff, and then you're
that's my
kind of
biggest
doing
thing.
a lot of like the biggest thing is like you
Mm-hmm.
got jetpack if you want it, you got this type of play if you want it. You could it will try to actually say your name. It's like I'll just like, okay, that there's a lot that's going to be in that game, and I just really hope for its success and in all of it. But I think this year's going to be hard because there's just a lot of games that people really wanted and waited for that came out. I just, especially with Tears of the Kingdom, and like how that was just a big thing for like 2 months of
Mm-hmm.
like creating stuff and all that jazz. And then even as it went to cosplaying, there were just so many people that were just loving a lot of about that game. So I just feel like it's hard. Like I really couldn't guess what was game of the year this year.
I don't know. I like you're right. Like I can't really sit here and like say, oh, this one's gonna win or this one's gonna win, because there's no guarantee to any of them. I mean, there's some great top contenders this year, honestly. Um, I'm I've heard that I think that the biggest thing that's gonna be a factor in it is gonna be how long it's talked about after the game has come out and released and been out for a little while. Because while I think Hogwarts Legacy stands a great chance, I don't really hear a lot about it much anymore. And
Yeah.
I felt like it kind of died quick. But the people that enjoyed it really enjoyed it to that point. So it's kind of hard. And I mean, um, yeah, man, I don't know. I'm looking at the list right now of the games this year. Is There's some top contenders, man. I mean, even Armored Core, like I'm ready to try that out even.
Yeah, I can't wait for that to come out. They've already charged my card. They're like, oh, it's
Dude, you
coming.
were talking about that last stream, I think. Like you're ready for it, man.
Because it's like I haven't played it in such a long time. It was weird because if you tuned in into like our broadcast of the Game Awards last time, because we were talking about it, we were like,
Oh, really?
I didn't even know that um that game was made by FromSoft. Like I was all like, oh wow, that was a hard pivot from like this mecha type style of game and all that and logic
Mm-hmm.
intricacies to Dark Souls, Demon Souls, like just straight up fantasy hard mode kind of games. And
Yeah.
it was like, oh, it'd be nice if they came out with a Armor Core now, just kind of see like with all the learnings and stuff. And literally that stream is when they announce it and they show it off. We were like, oh shit.
We're
Oh, I
like,
guess I'll.
wait a minute, did we just speak this into existence?
So yeah, it was great. And then the fact that it comes out in the following year, it was like, oh wow. You mean like shoot games like GTA 6 and Skyrim 6 or whatever Elder Scrolls 6 and stuff like
Man,
that stuff ain't
yeah.
coming out for a while, but we've seen like maybe something about it like way ahead of time. But that's like not coming out for a
Mhm.
while. But like so to see like Armor Core, like, oh yeah, next year. It
Yeah,
was like,
right?
it's like coming out and stuff like that. I was like, wow, after like the heels of like Elder Scroll and then, or not Elder Scroll, but Elden Ring, and then them still
Mhm.
doing the DLC. So I was just like, oh, I mean, that studio's being pretty busy. So doing
Yeah.
stuff. So I'm a little excited and stuff to get into it. And I was also thinking about, didn't Resident Evil 4 remake come out this year?
Resident Evil 4 remake came out this year, as well as Dead Space.
Yeah, I think
Dead
that's what
Space
probably
did too.
killed Hogwarts Legacy. I think when that game came out, I think
Mhm.
there was no more of the other stuff.
Mhm.
Like there
Like,
were,
I mean, look, we even got Jedi Survivor this year too. We got Diablo
yeah.
4. Um, we got that Pikmin 4 for those people
Do you feel like
that.
Diablo 4 would be up in that level? Well, I'm not saying it's not a
No,
good game, but
no.
I'm just saying, like, would you even think it'd be top five?
I think that it won't because of the timing of the release. It came out right before Baldur's Gate 3. And then the second Baldur's Gate 3 dropped, didn't hear a thing. It dropped off the face of the earth and everyone stopped playing it to play Baldur's Gate. I don't think that like even some of the people that I work with that are currently playing Diablo 4 are like, I gotta get Baldur's Gate. I gotta play that game. Like they enjoyed Diablo, and I mean it's a great game. And I had actually never played Diablo, but my old boss was like super into it at the time, and he got me into playing the second one whenever it remastered.
Mm-hmm.
That game was really enjoyable. I really liked it. My only thing is back to kind of where we were talking about playability and doing the new game plus stuff and all that stuff. That's where I kind of get where I just can't do it because that's kind of how Diablo is. You go through, you play it, and you go back and start over and you get new stuff. And there's a lot of that going on. Or at least Diablo 2 was that way. I don't know how Diablo 4 is, but I didn't end up playing Diablo 4 for that reason. I was like, I don't want another game like that, really.
I think I've got a lot of second half play when it comes to Diablo 4 because I've seen so much content on it, and it hasn't been good content. A lot of it's been a lot of people really kind of hitting at the company for like a lot of the practice. Like it's like the game is good and some people do like it, but the game does stuff that not everybody can truly agree on. And then in the second half of it all, it's like, oh yeah, well, I also can't really, I can't do what I want to do, which was keep making characters and do all that because now there's like a high price to it. Like it just seems like that's a game where it's like it's meant to do like new game plus forever because for some people the real game starts when you actually kind of beat the main story and do all the other stuff, and then you have like harder challenges and stuff like that. But I think there's just from what I heard, just a lot of stuff that's been happening with it. It just seems that like, yeah, but like if you got to restart your character again, you got to start from the beginning, you got to do all this, and then some of the tedious stuff you got to have to just rush through that. You got to, it's like, that just doesn't seem like, I guess like I don't get why that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no, if I would have told you, yo man, I made a game that if you beat it, you can change your character however you want, but you have to start at the very beginning. You had to do all the stuff that you did. None of it, not cutscenes or anything, but just all the other grinding that you did to make that character good. And then we're going to keep doing that every so often. And you can't use your old character for anything. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is like I don't see how I could like sell that to you, and then put a smile on my face like it's great, right?
Yeah.
I do
And
think
and right now with Baldur's Gate, the reason I'm playing it again is because right now it's basically a completely different game. Because I chose a different character, I chose a different path, I chose all different kinds of stuff. You can choose who you worship,
Mhm.
you can choose all of it. And it literally changes the game whenever you do, because like on this playthrough, I worship a different god. So going through on the first half of the game, I'm getting some of the historical checks that I didn't last game. And it's like, well, this, and this about this. And so you can use that in the dialogue against this person and say, well, you follow this God, so why aren't you doing his teachings? And so,
Mhm.
and it changes the whole dialogue dynamic, and boom, there's another branch off into a different kind of storyline. And it's really crazy how it changes the entire story of the game. Granted, pretty much doing the same stuff again, but at the same time, I also didn't do everything on the first playthrough. I just kind of sped run most of it. So that
Gotcha.
way I could just play one of the endings, see how the game plays out, understand more so, because it is my first turn-based game and I no idea what I was doing at the beginning. So I wanted to see what was available and things like that, and kind of where my path is going to go, and learn the path to learn how to veer off of it and
Mm,
do other things. So that's kind of
gotcha.
how my thought process was on my first playthrough. So I did a lot of stuff, but I didn't do everything. So on this playthrough, I plan to do as much as I can, but we'll see what happens, because maybe there's some things locked because I chose fighter. I don't know.
No, I definitely, I think that'd be pretty dope, honestly. But I think we gotta do that. We gotta do like a crew stream kind of thing.
Dude,
It's a,
I
kind
think
of
that
plan
that
it
would
out.
be pretty sweet, and we could probably do some good recordings on that, and maybe a live stream or two on it, just to kind of let some people hop in and chat with us and ask us some questions and see what the chat has to say.
Yeah. And if you think that'd be a good idea, let us know after you kind of see this one. I know this one's probably not going to be up for a while, but if you do get a chance to see it, let us know if you want to see some crew streams. Us just playing a lot of different games, especially like the crazy multiplayer games that if one of us messes up, we all lose kind of thing. I'm actually kind of interested in kind of going that route. But if you did enjoy today's episode, hit us up, hit a like, share the video, and do some all that other crazy stuff. Please don't make me say everything. I don't want to read it like a script. But it's just we appreciate y'all for coming, checking us out, and that was me and Salty. We'll see you later.
Catch you later, guys.